So, in light of the controversy and skepticism, to say the least, of many of the comments that have arisen as a result of Thomas and I's videos, I felt the need to post this response to kind of clarify where I'm coming from, and um, hopefully Thomas will post his thoughts about this video and also the reaction that we got from our videos yesterday. Um, I think the main thing that I was trying to get across in our conversation yesterday was that materialism and science are not synonymous. Science is basically a method which involves designing some type of experiment, um, collecting data based on the results, and then sharing that data with others who are appropriately trained in whatever the specific area is that you're studying. Um, Materialism, on the other hand, is an ideology or a metaphysical worldview. Um, and a lot of times the public who haven't studied science in depth and who just hear through various media outlets what some very prominent scientists say, they think that there is no difference between materialism and the scientific method. Um, the scientific method, of course, is an ongoing investigation into the nature of nature, whereas materialism has already decided what the nature of nature is. And certainly a lot of the knowledge which has been brought forth by scientific investigation restricts the kind of view we can have, or at least legitimately have, about what reality is, or what it is in the process of becoming. But I don't think we can conclude, in fact, I think we can conclude the opposite, that materialism is not adequate. In other words, the idea that the brain produces consciousness is not an adequate hypothesis anymore. Or at least I'm skeptical that we will ever come up with a convincing explanation for how brain makes consciousness. So that's the first thing. And when it comes to paranormal or psi phenomena, people want evidence of this, and people like Dean Radin suggest that there is evidence, there is statistical evidence, for example, of people's ability to alter the randomness of supposedly random number generators just based on their intention to do so. And there's lots and lots of data that suggests that there is a difference made in how these number generators produce randomness when people try to influence them. But statistical evidence, and I think we touched on this a bit in our videos yesterday, isn't really amenable to the kinds of experiences that we're talking about here. And for me, proof is not in the statistics, but in having the experience itself. And I haven't experienced telekinesis, the ability of minds to move matter without touching them physically. I haven't experienced that, and I'll be honest, I'm pretty skeptical of that possibility. But when it comes to something like telepathy, to sharing states of mind with others without having to talk, and not just other human beings, but other animals, other species, I think I have experienced these, and certainly a skeptic could come back and say, well, it's just self-deception. But that to me is a poor argument, because I could say that about anything. It applies to almost any assertion. You can always level that criticism. But being that I have experienced telepathy, that it was just as real as me knowing the fact that I have to lift this book with my hand, or it's just as real as anything else I've ever experienced. That is why I think there's something to explore here, and there are plenty of other reasons why I don't think materialism is adequate. And materialism is more than just the idea that, I can't move my hand through this desk without breaking it. Materialism is the idea that all that is ultimately real are physical particles that are, in space, separate from each other, not connected by any non-physical means, and that, even things like life and biology and certainly consciousness, they're all just random permutations that happen to crop up in the course of blind evolution. That to me is almost, it's hard to believe that could be the truth of the matter. And, in the hardest of sciences, physics, quantum physics has shown that matter is not made up of particles that are not connected through space instantly. Quantum entanglement is a real phenomenon. It's been experimented on and studied for almost a whole century, and the evidence for it is compelling. That has a role to play on the macroscopic level of human bodies interacting with other bodies. I'm not in a position to say, and I don't think science is in a position to say exactly what effect it has there either. But that matter is not just these discrete, entirely separated particles banging into each other randomly, I think is pretty well established within physics itself. But at the end of the day, if people haven't had these experiences, they have no reason to believe them, and I fully accept that. But to ridicule those who have had those experiences, and because of having those experiences feel that there is a need to investigate how exactly this happens, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's honest, and I don't think that's in the spirit of the scientific method itself. So hopefully this adds a little bit of context, and I'm interested to see how people react. I was interested to see, the reaction that we already got from the videos yesterday, but yeah, that's it.